Good morning, Mahesh Pandit sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Sir, shall we start the session, sir?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. I welcome all the participants for this session two of day two. Uh, Now we have session from our eminent resource person, Mr. Manesha B.R. Pandit. So he will be talking on master side third way and case study of Lego and Apple. So it's over to you, Mahesha Pandit sir.
Thank you very much. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this second session on the second day. Today, we're going to talk about how the third way saved two major companies and how these two master companies or masters of the third way um, came out of a significant problem by innovating around the box. Before we get into the session, a few announcements from my side. I read your feedback of yesterday's session, so thank you very much. Most of you have liked it. Some of you have asked for slides, and look, there is an exam on the fifth day. I don't want to compromise the integrity of the exam. In the opening day itself, I told you that slides will be shared on the 27th of January after the exam. So please be professional and don't ask for these slides. And make notes. And some of you have complained about your working day and how can I attend the session and all. Please don't take it on the don't give negative feedback of because constraint at your end. No one, I think nobody forced you to join this. If there are issues on your end, please keep it at your end. Don't reflect it on the program. It's not again professional. Okay. We have a lot of work actually, and we take time out in order to share our knowledge and experience with you. So please be considerate of those things. And some of you have asked for hands-on. I think this is a fad or a fashion. Whenever we do this FDPs or any exam and any knowledge sharing, we get this kind of remark. Oh, this was only a lecture, and so one person has said book review is not enough. What else do you expect us to do in 90 minutes? Okay, let's do hands-on. Does any of you have a business or a core product? Let's innovate around your product. Do you have any? In 90 minutes, can we do that? See, the remark should reflect your. It's a reflection of your thoughts. I'm just giving feedback and perspective from my side. Okay, please keep your remarks in perspective because it reflects who you are. This is a faculty development program. We are here to trigger your thoughts and introduce new concepts. We cannot deliver the moon to you in 90 minutes. And slides, please be professional and do not ask for slides. If you want to, you can take screenshots. If you are so desperate about slides, I think each one of you have a smartphone. You can point it to the screen and take a screenshot, right? Use some local solutions like that, or be a student for a while for 90 minutes and take notes. So don't take it on the pro, on us, okay, or on the session. These are all small things. Please sort it out. And yeah, so these are the rules of the game. Compared to other FTPs, we are engaging you for the whole day. I saw so many programs doing only half day programs, bringing in so many, some 10, 15 speakers and making a khichdi out of the whole program. Yeah, we have designed it in a professional way. We are trying to give you thought-provoking inputs. That's all anyone can do. This is what industry can do to academia. We cannot have, deliver meaning of your life in 90 minutes. Okay, please think about this and keep your feedback in perspective. Okay, show that maturity. That's what I want to see. in the feedback. Okay, and yeah. So I know I was a bit harsh, but I don't believe, and I believe in being straightforward because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want my time to be wasted. Okay, so let's get back to the topic on hand. How um, do companies survived using the third way? So let's talk about Lego. The Dave Robertson, who spoke about this third way, he said that he has called out these two case studies, Lego and Apple, as two of the greatest turnarounds in the modern business history. So for someone to be able to cite these two cases as two of the greatest turnarounds, there must be some very good solid reason behind that. So let's see what it is. So let's start with Lego. I'm sure if you have, some of you may have children, so some of your children may have played with Lego. These Lego pieces, Lego is a Danish company. They created these famous what's called as Lego bricks. So these colorful thingies which snap into each other and with which you can create superb fixtures and play with it. So everybody loved this revolution. It was before my time. When I was growing up, we never had this. My time was, and I entered high school in 1986. So 86 to 90. My primary was from 81 to 86. So this thing came up in I think 90 to 95 during that time. So people went crazy uh, with this, and all sorts of uh, things were done with it. Some people took it so seriously. Look at this one. This is like a Taj Mahal kind of a thing, but it's not actually a Taj Mahal, or could be. I don't know. It's amazing thing. They're made up of only Lego pieces. It's not just kids playing these Lego pieces. Even adults do it at work, and it was seen as a standard way of innovation was to give us these Lego pieces and play with it. And when I did this course at MIT, we did the same thing. They gave us buckets and buckets full of Lego pieces, and we were playing with it. They were asked to create a small piece of Lego which reflected who we are. That was our activity. So you have to select pieces and create your persona, and then explain that persona and tell why and how it represents who you are. People have done experiments with a Lego. They have given it to a gorilla, and surprisingly, gorillas have demonstrated the same style in which humans play with Legos. Gorillas also did something very, very similar. Of course, we are 99.5%. We share the 99% of 0.5% of the genes we have common between us and the gorilla. So what is this company? When did they come out with these bricks? I think they started in 1975 or 1978. So that's when they innovated this. There are also different shapes actually. It's not always rectangular. There are other shapes as well. And if you have kids who are very active with Lego, this is how your living room might look like. Hundreds and hundreds of um, Lego pieces, and it is said that stepping on a Lego is actually is an excruciating pain. So there are a lot of memes that have come out. For example, there are three levels of pain: pain, excruciating pain, and stepping on a Lego. So, and the SpongeBob is here telling that, I just stepped on a Lego brick and I cried for only 20 minutes. So that's, and there is also a Guinness record of someone has walked on a piece of Lego. And I think it's apparently there is a Guinness record of a man who walked. Let's just for fun, let's watch this. Let's watch this video.
On the records, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about what's going to happen here. Yeah, absolutely. I'm Brainy Bricks. I run Brainy Bricks and Brainy Bricks Nation.
54 feet and 6 inches, a new Guinness World Records title.
Today at Philly Brickfest, we're going to set this thing so high that no one will be able to ever break it again. I am super, super excited and scared and all emotions all at once. So. It still hasn't sunk in how far I actually went. I think it's over half a mile. My feet are on fire right now. And I guess there was some little cuts and scrapes that
It's just a illustration of how people take this one quite seriously. And there is also a blog which says, uh, pain levels of Lego pieces. I think there is also a All right, I'm back. I don't know. Were you able to watch that Guinness record video? Did you lose me?
Yes, sir. We could able to watch the video.
Okay. One more reason to laugh at Americans, right? Okay. So just there is also a blog post wherein people have compared the pain on of stepping on different shapes of Lego. So this is how people have fun with this. Such a popular product. What happened to them? Let's see. When they introduced this Lego in the year 1978, it created a new market, and for about 15 years, the company grew at 14% year on year. See, this is their revenue in Danish kroners, I think, in billions of Danish kroners. See, 1979. So they started. If this is 1932 and this is 1980, midway means how much? 32, 28, 50 years. So somewhere around 1955, 60 itself they started. Excuse me. So They grew almost linearly until 1993, and then they ran into some kind of problem. The revenue got stagnated at about $7 billion for about 5 years. Yeah, between 1993 and 1998. So what happened? At 1993, the patents got expired. You know, these patents have a lifespan depending on the region of the world. Typically, a patent gives you, excuse me, patent protects you for about 70 years, 70. After that, you are free to copy the design. So, 1993, competition started catching up. So they started releasing different types of Lego pieces at even lower costs. They went to China, whereas Lego stayed in Denmark. Manufacturing in Europe is expensive. China is cheap. And also the kids had changed. They had already started getting the taste of digital gaming platform like Nintendo, PlayStation, and all. So this physical, laborious play with Lego was not attractive for these kids. Okay, so they the sales started flattening. You may wonder what's wrong with it. You know, it's anyway it's 7 billion. Is it not enough for Lego? But the problem is a company having reached this level of $7 billion of revenue would have a lot of expenses. Okay, so if the sales flatten out, it is a big deal. Many people, you know, somebody asked me, why do you guys talk as if it's the end of the world for these companies? They have a lot of history and they have made profit year on year. They don't pay very well. They, you know, they cheat. They don't pay taxes. They must be sitting on a pile of cash. Why is it a flat sale or a little bit of um, reduction in profit a big deal for these companies? Remember, the higher you go, the harder you fall. That is how this is. A $7 billion company will have thousands of employees, so many factories, so deep supply chains, complex supply chains, so much investment into selling and all. So if this curve flattens, it is a big deal. So 5 years they couldn't do. They tried. Let's see what they did in this period. When sales flatten out, there is panic sets in. That's what happened at Lego. They panicked, and whenever things are not working out for you, what do? Let's say there's a hotel which was doing well and then suddenly sales flattened. What the hotel does? It does repeat. The first reaction is to do the same. What had worked for you in the past, you will do more of it. That's what Lego did. They had already had 109 toy pieces, distinct 109 toys. They increased it to 347, three times, triple. Okay. I'm talking about this period where there is a little bit of how they were trying to come out of stagnation. Okay, this period, and how they ended up in crisis. This is a classic example of innovation taking you to a deep crisis. So what happens? Let's say you have a toy factory. You already have 109 types of toys. If you increase the number of toys to 347, what happens on your design and your factory? You need some different molds, different designers, different product lines. The demand won't be same for all 347, so it is going to be a crazy ecosystem. So not only the production, even sales, distribution, everything becomes complex, right? So that's what the first thought that came into Lego's mind was, let's try incremental innovation. We were successful, right? We had 109 toys. So let's make 300, 200 more. So incremental innovation gave them a lot of complexity. Then they tried disruptive innovation. Okay, they said, okay, let's keep aside these bricks and look at what all they did and how they deviated from the core product. They went electronic. So for toddlers, that's toddler is a age group 2 to 4, I think, or 2 to 4. It depends on the country. So they tried to make electronic toys for those toddlers. Okay. Then they went online. They set up, some kind of a digital designer. Uh, at that time, the internet penetration was also not that great. So they created some kind of a console where you can play with these bricks in a virtual manner. So that is a Lego digital designer. Okay. Then they brought in a TV game show. So they invested in television, and they did completely different, which has got nothing to do with play. They started after school coaching classes. It's like tuitions. Imagine a toy company doing tuition. If you are a parent, would you send your child? You think that, okay, ये यहाँ भी खेलेगा वहाँ भी खेलेगा. So you may not send your child to such after school classes. Look how their thoughts is going haywire. That's why I was thinking. I introduced you those 3 books: critical thinking and creative thinking and all, right? See, they went way off the product and did something very different. This is the complete experimentation after school classes. Then this Harry Potter movie got released. So then they thought there are so many characters in Harry Potter, right? So they introduced pieces with which you can construct Harry Potter characteristics, so characters and scenes. Then the sales little bit increased. Okay, little bit. This is the first movie peak, and then the second movie peak. Okay, so people did show some interest in these characters, so the sales increased, but then it dropped. Okay, because how long a movie can how long people remember movies, right? Especially kids. See, the target, the customers for Lego are boys aged 5 to 9. Okay, so a 7-year-old average, their interest change almost on a daily basis, isn't it? So the sales dropped from about 10 billion all the way to about 6.5 or something. Even worse, they went. 1993 itself, the sales had flattened at around 7 billion. Now they went under 7 billion. So their existence itself started came into question. Then what happened is the chief executive analyzed the sales. He looked at 347 designs of toys and saw something peculiar. He identified this one, which is called as a bionicle. The sale of this one was quite impressive. It was not all that great compared to the overall thing, but look at the target segment: 7 to 14, even 14 up to teen, pre-teens were playing with this bionicle. So what is this bionicle? Doesn't look, yeah, it looks very complex if you ask me. I think you need an hour to assemble this one. And with if you have fat fingers, I don't know, you can't even fit 2 pieces together. But kids have nimble fingers and they enjoy putting together these things. So this is nothing but collection of Lego pieces with assembly instructions. That's all. In the box, there were hundreds of pieces, and then a sheet explaining what goes where. And this was the sales of this one was quite impressive. So they kept this as a core product, and then they built a story around this. They introduced a collection of Lego heroes saving the world from evil. So they brought that fiction around this Bionicle. And then they introduced a series of complementary innovations. So they changed the packaging. Earlier, the Legos were coming in kind of tub buckets. Look at this bucket. The packaging was this. So if you go to a supermarket and buy a Lego, they used to give you, typically you would get a bucket, and look at all these pieces. They're randomly poured into the bucket. Okay, that was a standard Lego packaging. That's why these kids, when they opened the bucket, all these loose pieces came out, and usually the standard condition of your living room is a mess. Okay, if you have two toddlers, gone case. It's very difficult. I remember my son growing up. He had some 40, 50 toys, and the hall used to be like a war zone. Now they changed the packaging, sleek, beautiful, brilliant book kind of a finish. Then they brought in comics because look at the preteen, look at the people. The age group is extending into preteen, so they brought comics. They released books. They released a video game. They also gave this were tied up with McDonald's to give Happy Meal. McDonald's is an American fast food chain. Uh, you can order something called as a Happy Meal for the child. Usually, it comes with high sugar, small size food items. Um, there's an adult burger and a child burger, some sugary liquid, some ice cream, and a game, a piece of toy, along with the meal. So they tied up with McDonald's to give away these Bionicles along with the Happy Meal. They tied up with Nike shoes to brand some shoes with this Bionicle. See, these are these complementary innovations. None of them are expensive, right? Compared to, you're not introducing a new complex thingy here. You're just changing the way the packaging is done. Okay, and you're striking business deal with a few of your fellow companies, and you're creating books and comics, engaging creative talent. None of these are not. This is simpler experiments. They don't cost much, and of course, the risk is also low. What this did to Lego is look at the impressive growth that it brought in. So between 2007 and 2012, yeah, the Bionicle helped Lego to reinvent and then took them on a sharp rise. Look how the revenue is rising, yeah, between 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years. They crossed over to $23 billion. They were struggling at they had reached what, nearly 6.5 billion, and it increased by 400 times. A small idea that saved a company. So between 2007 and 2015, 8 years, they saw annual growth of 21% in sales and 36% in profit. Okay, it's an amazing turnaround story. Look how they were in 1993. Stagnation, experimentation, pushing them into crisis, and then a simple innovation, innovation around the box, a set of complementary innovations, pushing Lego all the way up to 23.4 billion by 2012. And today, I think Lego is operating at 36 billion. Last time I checked. So let's see how much they are doing right now. Lego annual report 2020.
Dear participants, I believe Mahesh sir has lost connectivity. So maybe he is joining us soon. So we are in contact with him.
Hello, I'm back. So please let me know when did you lose me so that I can come back, catch up.
Sir, you were talking about the graph which was showing recovery and acceleration of the company.
Okay, so here we were. So, okay. So Bionicle helped Lego to catch up and accelerate. So they recovered the revenue, not only the revenue, but also the profitability. For 8 years, they grew at 21%, and their profits grew at 36%. So they hit 23.4 billion by about 2012. Okay. And right now they are at 36 billion last time I checked. But you can take that as a homework and find out where they are, how Lego is doing now, especially in the COVID situation. So this is amazing, right? They did not take too much risk. They did not invest too much. They just created, they studied how things are, and they created. This was the product, the core product that was doing well. So they created innovation around it, and that gave them amazing growth. So this literally saved Lego from going under. So this is the Lego case study. This is quite famous turnaround. You don't see turnarounds like this in the recent history. Um, this is very well documented case, and many case studies have come out on the recovery of Lego. This story is very close to us because Professor Dave Robertson was the Lego professor at MIT. So he had access to authentic data from the records of Lego. So it's very well explained this very well in his book. So here is a solid proof that complementary innovation can give you accelerated growth in both top line and bottom line for years, 8 years. Yeah. Okay. Now, any questions on Lego? Okay, let's move on to the next case study, which is Apple. Apple is one of the companies which are heavily studied by people. People have literally, done their PhD kind of research on Apple. They have dissected the CEO behavior. They have analyzed, micro-analyzed all nearly everything that Apple did. And even today, uh, majority of the business leaders quote Apple as their favorite company and best managed company. So Apple is an example for many, many, many great things. So what is the Apple story? Apple is also a very strange story wherein the board of directors of Apple fired the founder. Sometimes I'm also scared of my board of directors because if Steve Jobs can be fired out of Apple, right? If I can fire me as well. Jokes apart. So 12 years he was in exile, 1985 to 1997. So these people, the new board of directors, they struggled between 1990 and 1997. Look at the revenue of Apple. This is what it is. 1990, what? 5 billion, 4 billion, 8 billion. So that's all. They were making Apple computers, Apple operating system, and which was known for its user interface. Okay, but in 1997, Windows had caught on. Microsoft had caught on with Windows 95. When Windows 95 came in, the dominance of Mac started to change. Steve Jobs back. So when Steve Jobs came, no, he returned to Apple. The conditions were very bad. Once upon a time, Apple had enjoyed 12% of the market share of American IT hardware. Imagine owning 12% of such a large market. Okay. But then when Steve Jobs came back in 1987, it has decreased to 2%. Whereas Microsoft had increased its market share to around 10% or something. And there were hundreds of patent litigations between Apple and Microsoft. There were, again, so many products introduced by Apple computers. It was until that time, the company was called as Apple Computers. So Steve Jobs removed the word computers from the name of the company and he just kept it as Apple. And he cleaned up a lot of product lines. He threw away, he stopped many projects. People hated him in 97. Okay. And he did one more thing. He walked to Bill Gates, offered a peace deal, and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs settled so many patent disputes as man to man. So he clarified the environment. He reduced the complexity of the work products. Then then he looked at the core product. The core product was Macintosh, the operating system. So he built complementary innovation around Macintosh. Three things he started, three projects: iPod, iTunes, and Apple stores. So it took 6 years. So in 2001, he announced what is called as digital hub. So around Macintosh, he placed all these products. And he said Mac is at the center, and this is the digital hub. So there was a lot of integration. All these products use Mac, and he ensured that everything used the Mac as a core operating system. And there's a lot of synergy between all these products. And this saw a little bit for the first time, 1% the profit was 1% above the sales effort, they say. So it started showing little bit of green shoots. So here, this is where Steve Jobs tried the third method to create complementary innovations around the core product Mac. He never destroyed it. In fact, he sponsored so many projects to strengthen the Macintosh operating system and make it more service oriented and usable across devices and under different contexts. Okay, he invested in Mac. Strengthen, remember what is the motto of the third way? Strengthen the core product. First of all, respect the core product. Remember why is it great. Third one, invest in the core product. And fourth one, innovate around the core product. Okay, that's exactly what he did in between 1997 and 2003. Okay, so in 2003, he a little bit it increased. The revenue increased to $8 billion. Between before Steve Jobs was called back, the revenue was between 5 and 7 billion, which is today, if you think about where Apple is, this is peanuts for them. So you'll see. Okay, now what happened? So between 2004 and 2007, these three ideas that he had created, iPod, App Store, and iTunes, they started becoming big ideas and increasing the revenue. So he enriched iTunes. Now earlier it was giving music. Now it is started giving TV shows, movie, and audiobooks. So he improved the shape complementary innovation. He strengthened the iPod, strengthened the App Store, and experimented with a new thing called as iPhone. His thoughts was that people not only use audio and video, they also use email, calendar, telephone. So he created a platform which combined everything that was offered by other products. So he launched the iPhone. Before he launched iPhone, between 2004 and 2007, iPod and App Store and iTunes, they themselves were lifting the revenue. See this small rise here? 2003 was 8 billion. Now it slowly rose to 11 billion. So the complement, small ideas, little ideas were becoming big ideas. Okay. And iPhone was another disruptive innovation around the Macintosh. When he launched the iPhone, see what happened to the company. The graph is unbelievable, right? See, this is where we are, 2003, this is 8 billion. Okay, 2004, 6, 7, this is 11 billion. So when iPhone was launched between here, from 32 billion, 11 billion to 32 billion jump he got. And then then he introduced iPad in 2010. Okay, with iPad and iPhone, look how the sales went up. It went to 274 billion from 32, 11 to 274. So within 12 years, the revenue multiplied so much. This is the dramatic story of Apple. What was the core product here? Macintosh. What were the complementary innovations? iPod, iTunes, App Store. Okay, that itself. Okay, what did first? Remember putting thinking within design thinking. What did I say first? Clear thinking. Bring in clarity into thoughts. That's what Steve Jobs did. So he did clean up the company. Applying clear thinking, he just brought the focus back into the company. Clean up, clean up. Then he thought creatively. That gave him iPod, iTunes, App Store. Then he thought big, iPhone, iPhone, iPad. That is where he thought big, and therefore the market responded. This is an empathetic design, right? This is design thinking in action. So he thought from the end user perspective. Look, if you want to listen to music, you need iPod, is it? Okay, I'm listening to music on my iPod, and suddenly somebody calls me. So I pull out my Nokia mobile. Okay, I need to set up a meeting. Okay, where do I put the meeting details? Okay, I write it down on a piece of paper or on my digital diary. At that time, there were dictaphones and digital diaries. Okay, I speak into the digital diary. At 11 o'clock, call Colgate and discuss the new project. See, I dictate into the dictaphone. That's on the device. And now I need to send to Colgate a meeting request. What do I do? Where is my email? I open my bulky brick-like laptop, and how do I connect? Where is the Wi-Fi? Maybe that is another small piece of modem or something which I carry in my backpack, and then send the email. Now you empathize with that poor sales guy doing all these things, yeah, while he's commuting to work. When you put yourself in his position, you dream of a device which will do all of these things for you. That's what Steve Jobs did. And that gave birth to new iPhone, which is your music player, which is your app store, which is your collaboration tool, which gives you entertainment, which runs your business, which keeps you connected with your friends and family, and all this fits in one device and one pocket. So that is nothing but design thinking. Then he applied design thinking once again in 2012. iPhone, I was a user of iPhone 3, 4, 5. Now I am not using it anymore. I always felt that iPhone 3, 4, 5 was nice. It fit. It, yeah, I could hold it in my one hand and operate it with one finger, operate it with my thumb. It was a brilliant thing. I could operate everything. My thumb could reach all angles, all places, all areas of the screen. Okay. But then iPhone started becoming wider and wider and wider. I gave up. So Steve Jobs did not do anything for my kind of users. Okay, now it is 11-inch and all. I keep joking that iPhone has grown so much. It is now an ideal thing for gorillas who have hands like this. Some things are growing wider and taller. It's no more a phone. It's like a brick. In 2010, he thought about people who needed larger screens, and maybe thought of salesmen once again. What if you could keep your phone on the desk and run a presentation out of it? That's when he introduced iPad. Something similar, but it expanded. It gave a little bit more flexibility. It is something above a phone but below a laptop, something like that. That also had a significant appeal in the market. Okay, so what Steve Jobs did is design thinking and application of the third way. He never destroyed any of his competitors or anything. You'll see the comparison between. So what do you learn from Lego and Apple? Yeah, neither of them disrupted competitors or revolutionized markets, right? That was not their purpose. Their purpose was to survive. So remember, the third way, there should be a single focus. So the single focus was survival. That's what we saw in both Lego and Apple. And both companies achieved turnarounds because they returned to the core product and innovated around that. So they introduced a portfolio of complementary solutions. Lego introduced what all the things Lego introduced? First of all, they brought in fiction. They said, hey, these are not these bionicles, they save the planet. All the kids got excited. Wow, these are superheroes. Then they introduced comics, books, TV shows, movies, and all these things. Yeah. What Apple did, their core product was Mac. They introduced iPod, iTunes, App Store, iPhone, iPad. So in both cases, these new products that they brought in, the complementary innovations, they focused on only one promise. What is it? Survival. I don't think either men who drove these initiatives thought beyond survival, because you have inherited a lot of problems. If you Steve, put yourself in Steve Jobs' position. First of all, you were kicked out. You still nobody asked you what you were doing for 12 years, and then they called you and gave you a garland. They give you a lot of problems to solve. Yeah, patent litigations with Microsoft, uh, market share that came down to 2% from 12%. Need to go to, yeah, I can imagine, Steve Jobs going to Bill Gates and telling him, look, let's settle all these things. What's the point fighting? Right? It's not easy things to do. The same thing. Okay, there's another assignment. Find out the name of the CEO who led the initiative for the Lego. Okay, so take that as an assignment. Who led Lego through this transformation process? Please find out. Yeah. So these two people, the single thing that they had in mind is the company is sinking, and how do I ensure that it doesn't sink? Okay. And if you read further deep into the whole thing, you will see that they had tight control on products and services. You must have. This is where you hear stories that Steve Jobs was not a nice person to work with. This is what people tell about great innovators. Like and people say, Steve Jobs was very, very angry all the time. Zuckerberg was also angry. Zuckerberg wrote an email to all the staff asking them to resign. Believe me, when you are a founder and a CEO, there are days and times when you feel like firing everyone. Okay, it happens. You won't realize it until you're feeling, you're playing that role. So these are the trigger points for maybe Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, all these people were cutting costs, or maybe they were cutting the distractions. I don't want to say costs. Yeah, they were. That's what I tell my son also. Cut all the distractions. Yeah, just have a single focus. But the problem is we get misunderstood. When people say, "Hey, this guy is very tyrannical. He wants to what he wants. Only that he will drive, etc." But it is important to have control on products and services. Otherwise, what happens? Imagine Lego, 109 to 347 products. A product is not just an idea. Yeah, you might derive a lot of happiness out of because it's your idea. But it is a problem for the company, right? The idea has to be implemented as a product. It has to be marketed, sold, manufactured, first of all, right? So it's a pain. So if you have hundreds of such uncontrolled things going around, it becomes very difficult for you to achieve that single focus of staying alive. So the central management and tight control. There are a lot of there are many articles I found about the style of leadership used to centrally manage things and establish tight control. So this is where people spoke of charisma of leadership. This is where people spoke of integrity, um, work-life balance, ethics, and all this. So there's a lot, rich source of material, lot of publications on both Steve Jobs and leaders like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, if you look at a macro level, both did four things. They identified their core product. They identified their core business promise of these core products, then identified ways to innovate around the core product, and they identified ways to deliver those innovations. So everything that they did falls into these four buckets. Now, if you think about this, there's a very what did we say in the case of Lego? There was a line here, right? For Lego, the complementary innovation were neither risky nor expensive because all they did is change the package, introduce comics, books, videos, and all this Happy Meal. But was it the case for Apple? In the case of Apple, the complementary innovations were disruptive innovations. They were risky and they were expensive because around the core product, see, iPod. iPod is a new disruptive innovation. iTunes is a disruptive innovation. Apple Store is a disruptive innovation. But then these are less risky because there is the history says that iTunes they purchased it. They purchase an existing solution and they convert it into iTunes. Similarly, app stores also they purchased it was not very difficult or risky to do. But iPod was a new concept in the music in the field of music, and definitely App Store was a new concept, and iPhone is definitely a disruptive innovation. So the the difference there is a difference between the scale that Lego achieved and the scale that Apple achieved out of this third way. This is because Lego complementary innovation did not capture this much of market share because their focus area were kids 7 to 14-year olds. How many you have in the market compared to the adults? Yeah. Here, we are literally comparing apple and our orange. Okay. So, whereas here the appeal of the product is huge. Literally, the whole planet is your customer if you are Apple, right? Okay, exclude the kids, they're busy with Lego. But even kids have become mobile users now. So for Apple, the whole world is the market. So that is why the returns, there is a difference in the return that Apple achieved and the difference that in the return the Lego achieved. Okay, so that is the comparison between these two. So the third way saved companies and millions of lives. Really, if you think about it, Apple, how many people that Apple employs? 100,000, 200,000, multiply that by 5, a million. Easily influenced millions of people. So this method works. It did work. Okay. So that's what I wanted to introduce to you, the two major case studies which are result of this third way. So do you have any questions? Okay. Do you have any questions? Let me answer this. Let me look at the chat box. Audio loss. See, these are platform problems. There is very little I can do about audio loss or video loss.
No, sir, you are audible. You are fine. Dear participants, it's a interactive session with the resource person. Please, if you have any questions, you can ask directly to him or type your questions on the chat box.
See, another criticism we get in our whenever we do these programs is you guys always talk about Western case studies. Show me more Indian case studies. I don't. I think about what is behind that question. Why do you? Why is that challenge? See, in India we don't respect history. That is why we are in this pathetic situation. If you ask me. Compared to the UK, I've lived in UK for 8 years. How much they feel about pride they have in their people and activities. They document everything, but not in India. In India, we have a severe shortage of case studies. Okay, so that is why we don't get these documented case studies compared to the way these case studies are documented, preserved, presented, and celebrated in the West. We don't do that. Okay, any other comparison like Apple and Lego along with the same line? No, we have not done that. Because it's quite hard to, in order to analyze like this, you have to take a step back and think from a macro perspective. Lego sponsored Professor Dave Robertson's salary, gave him time. That is why we have a case study out. Now, who is doing this in India? I'm willing to do it. Can any of your universities sponsor me for 1 year and give me 1 year time? I'll bring out case studies like this. The problem is we are not investing in case studies. We are not investing in study. That is the problem. As faculty, how many case studies you have written? So you have to ask yourself, there's a problem in the system here. Okay. So every management institute worth its salt must invest significantly in identifying how these companies are operating, how they overcame problems, and then generalize the method and then publish. That is what MIT did. Lego and MIT did. That is why we have a strong comparison like this today. Okay. See, these FTPs are opportunities to reflect. You also should start thinking about it's not just gaining knowledge about one methodology and celebrating it academically and then writing, using it to survive in your environment. That is not. That is you guys have to think and start making noises and demands. You should ask yourself this question. We have this shortage of case studies. If third wave has happened in the West, probably it has happened in India as well. While designing this FTP, one person desperately wanted to become a resource person. He was telling, I also know third way. Whatever I did is third way, etc. So I asked him, okay, send me a write-up. Let me decide, read it, and then figure it out for myself. Let me judge whether what you did is actually the third way. He never sent. So we have this disrespect for the documentation. Okay, so unless that disrespect for healthy investigation and documentation goes away, you're not going to get this kind of knowledge in a packaged manner. Okay, that is why we don't have books about how Amul is doing, what transformation that Amul did. We don't know what happened in HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. They reinvented themselves so many times. But do we have lessons from that? See, the same thing is software is the knowledge industry. Right from 1996, when we started working, Keshav sir and myself, we were colleagues. We started working, literally sitting next to each other. Both of us have the same complaint. Knowledge sharing, reuse has not moved an inch forward. Even today in the software industry, we write the login form, user ID, password, submit button. People hand code it even now. Simple things like that are not reused. 30 years we have put in the software industry. This reuse and knowledge, the documentation has not moved forward at all. Because it is in our blood to disrespect focused study and respectful documentation. We don't do that. So unless you do that, you won't get case studies. If I were the head of a management institute, I would make, and I would give, demand that the faculty produce a dozen case studies a year, and I would sponsor their effort and reward the case study. Right? This power of little ideas. Harvard Business Review. Just 1 minute. See this. That case study has become a book and signed by the author himself. I have a signed copy by Professor Dave Robertson, and this is published by Harvard Business Review (HBR). Harvard Business Review (HBR), and it is priced at $30. And whenever a book is sold, the author gets a decent money. He also can become a millionaire. We don't have such systems in India. The first thing that people ask is, "Hey, do we have a PDF? Free milega kya?" You want the hard work of this person who has spent uh, hundreds of hours to culminate, assess, think, find out, research. You want it free, right? See, this is where we lack as people. So you have to think about these things, because you are the people carrying the torch. You are, see, can I influence people? How many people I can influence? Well, I have 60 people in my employment, so I can influence 60. Whereas you influence hundreds on a daily basis, right? Our job is to survive, make money, and पेट भरना है, हमारा पेट और दूसरों का पेट. Whereas academia is sitting in that sweet spot. What is your challenge? Your challenge is to find out how to influence people, and you have the time for that, and you have a lot of opportunities. Believe me, I keep telling Nitin sir, Professor Nitin Verma, who is going to address you from tomorrow. Sir, if you write, it is very easy to get published. If I write, it is very difficult, because publishers look at academicians and industry persons in a different way. They respect academicians compared to the industry people. So things are easier for you. So go back to your management. Ensure that you guys keep aside significant budget to study these companies. Spend time studying these companies. You have children around you, right? Your kids, not biological kids, the kids that you teach. You can call them and give them assignments. Hey, go to Amul, do this, catch hold of 100 Amul employees and get this survey filled in. Do a systematic study, write, and then publish in YouTube, small things. Take up case studies as a hobby. In fact, I was telling my son, why don't you set up a company that creates case studies and sells them for a fee? Okay, so significant effort is required. So unless we do this, you do not get details of which methodology has worked for the business. Okay, we have this beautiful comparison of Apple, Lego. It's well documented because people took the trouble of doing that. So we have proof that the third methodology works and gives you billions of dollars of revenue and profits. So any questions on this? Sorry, you might find some of my statement a bit harsh, but that's what it is, right? The situation is harsh, and the situation is harsh. How can the comment be, mellow? It doesn't work that way. See, somebody has written here, we seriously lack in knowledge sharing. Yeah, that's what also I think about. See, when there are 80 to 100 people, hardly people speak. I keep telling you, when I invite people to conduct these FDPs, resource persons hesitate. Arey, mujhe kuch nahi pata hai. Okay, I told them, don't worry, come and present. Nobody will ask you a question. So many people in the industry, they are afraid. They say, look, they are professors. How can I stand? And I tell them, don't worry. एक question भी नहीं आएगा. That is true in most of the cases. So we need to improve interaction, discussion. You won't lose anything, right? क्या होता है? Nothing. And nobody is perfect anyway. So collaboration, communication. Again, we are going back to the basics. Communications, knowledge sharing, communication and sharing. Sharing and talking. That is what are the two things that we have to improve. Share and talk, share and talk, share and talk. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? If there are no more questions, I will yield the control to the coordinators.
Yes, thank you, sir. I think Divya Thakur has asked one question about Howard discuss Ola's case study.
There's no question, it's a statement.
Yeah.
Harvard discusses Ola case study. There's no question in it. We'll say
I think
okay.
I think
And
Divya Thakur may be asking about Ola case study maybe.
so there's only one way to find out. Let me do Google. Yeah, Harvard Ola case study. They have done a Uber case study, which we studied in MIT course. We did study the Uber case study. Okay, Ola cabs riding on a high Harvard Business Review. Yeah, $9. Look at them, yeah. They are making $9 out of our story. Hari Krishnan, Joseph, Jaya Anand, Saju. Yeah, it's if you go here, see, this is available there for $9. They have already done that. Our own Desis must be, they did it. Who are these people? Find out more about them and send them a LinkedIn request, be their friends. There are things, see, we have coffee day revolution, Amul, a lot can be written about Amul and Reliance. See, what is this? Reliance, one brother's industry is running well, the other brother is bankrupt. Ye kya ho raha hai? Like how many companies these they have? Uh, you can figure out a lot of them. And then startups, there are hundreds of startups. When you are a startup advisor, the beauty I am thrilled to come to work because I get to know people, what all inventions they have done. People are building cities in India. You will very soon see it in the next 5 to 10 years, wherein you walk on the footpath while you are walking, the energy, you are generating energy. So there are people who have innovated and created energy from people's walking. And they say, sir, henceforth in these smart cities, we can, a house does not need electricity from the grid. It can generate it for itself. We have the solution. I'll be wondering, kahan hai, dikhao. It's fantastic. People are doing a lot of great things. See, there is one guy in Philippines. He was living in a slum. Okay, I'll show you that. He was in a slum. There was no electricity at all. A railway line had passed next to that slum, so the whole area, house was dark. You know what he did? I'll just share this. Yeah, look at this guy from Philippines. What he did. Millions of people live in Manila slums. Look how dark the house is.
When it's dark, most people go around with either candles or
Well, it's his invention that's in the limelight. Light bulbs made of recycled plastic bottles. More than 10 million people live in the greater Manila area, and it's expanding. The region's economy, or that's where Ilac Diaz comes in. He's been experimenting with sheet metal and plastic bottles for years. The materials are readily available. He came up with solar plastic bulbs that can be produced here.
it's the cheapest light bulb. It's the cheapest light bulb in the world.
How much does it cost?
So this one probably costs about less than $1 to make.
The plastic bottles are filled with water before they're fixed into holes in the roofs of the hut and clear. Once they're mounted, the bottle bulbs refract sunlight through the entire house. Plenty of sun to help pay for several helpers. There are bright as a 55. They help save money, usually spent on candles or kerosene lamps. And once they're installed, they glow for years as bright as a 55-watt bulb without any electricity. They provide a welcome relief for many families. I'm happy. It's so bright. Residents in Bangladesh.
Anyway, us having to interfere with their growth, and that is why we were able to grow so.
Okay, coming back to this, what I showed you was a light bulb made up of bleach. This slum, there was no light. What this guy did is he takes a plastic bottle, fills it with water, and one small cup of bleach he puts it in, and he inserts that bottle in the ceiling. And the sun's rays fall on the upper half of the bottle above the terrace, and inside the whole liquid glows. So it gives you enough power as 55 watts. Yeah, it costs less than $1. This is village invention. So there are many, many, many things like that happening here in uh, in India as well. So all we have to do is find out and write about it. Then if I talk like this, they challenge me. आप ही का नाम, आपका क्या लिखा है, what have you written? आपका blog भी नहीं है, Twitter भी खाली है, LinkedIn में आप खामोश रहते हो. Okay, because I'm busy producing. I'm also not able to write something. So I'm hiring a team of writers, and hopefully I should be able to publish something from this onwards. Okay. It's difficult for us business people because we have to survive on an hourly basis. Okay, the academic industry should start putting out more and more knowledge. Okay, so with that commentary, I yield my time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you.
Before we conclude the session, I'm going to wind up what Manesha sir carried out today. In this session, he took the case study of Apple and Lego, and he compared extensively about the annual growth of the product. And in Lego, he said some of the innovation led to crisis, but in Apple, some of the complementary innovations like iPod, iTunes, and Apple Store added a plus point to Apple to the growth. So finally, he said that how this recovery and acceleration came up with the core products turning into idea products and big idea products. So finally, he set conclusion telling that how third way saved the company. So that was a wonderful session. He showed some of the audio, video, visual aids for making us to understand, and it was very interactive with you, sir. So I thank you on behalf of all our participants, Department of Mechanical Engineering, and also on behalf of our coordinator. Thank you very much, sir.
See you on Thursday. Enjoy sessions with Keshav sir and Nitin sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Dear participants, we have shared the feedback and attendance form on the chat box as well as in the WhatsApp group. In the afternoon session, we have Keshav Rajgopal sir talking on 4 discussions and why they are difficult. And we will now break for the lunch, and we will start sharply at 2:30 p.m. So I repeat, we will join sharply at 2:30 p.m. today. Thank you one and all.